Hello and welcome back to Fallout 76, part of Entertainment Mensa's Fallout Friday. When we left off last week, we had just went through the initial crafting and here in the camp, and we had done our first little foray. As you can see over there, just beyond the woods, there are a couple of road signs which actually indicate the Overseer's camp. And we made a little bit of armor. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and make some food. I think we had started to do that. And we collected some water. And I didn't go much further into the camp system because we were kind of pressed for time. The first episode did run a little over. As you can see here, we have some tomatoes now, which we had planted, which is exactly what we're going to do again. Going to go right into food, and we're going to just plant the heck out of those tomatoes. So we got now, when we revisit, we'll have not one, but 2 tomato plants. And again, I chose this spot because it was close to water. And you can see the little green outline is the area that is the range of this camp. One of the first things that you ought to build when you get set up with a camp is going to be right here. This is the stash box I talked about in the last episode. Now, the stash box did undergo, or is about to undergo, a pretty big overhaul. It's going to increase the allotment for storage. Originally, I think it was something like 200 pounds or 400 pounds. I can't remember off the top of my head. But they're about to update that in an upcoming patch. And apparently they're going to, at some point, be adding a bulldozer feature. So I can come in and scrap, probably not this big tree here, but a lot of the little tiny branches. I might actually be able to terraform a little bit, if that's to be believed. We'll see. A lot has changed in the last week since we played. Bethesda came under fire. I talked about the criticism that I had for swapping out the bag, which was supposed to be this really nice canvas bag that came with the collector's edition, and of course it came with this really flimsy nylon bag. They've responded by saying that they're going to be replacing that in time. So good to know that some of the public outcry was heard and that Bethesda is going to do the right thing and try to fix it. But let's get on with the game. I'm going to show you a little bit of crafting here. As you can see, you can build a little floor, and it depends, like if you want to make it up high. I could even probably build it right here on the waterfront. And then raise it up a little bit, so like that. And then, as you can see, I can come in here and I can do little stairs. Like that. And then got myself a little platform here. And let's go ahead. Let's put, I think the only real bed I can make at this point is a sleeping bag. So we'll put ourselves a sleeping bag there. And then let's go back over to the walls. And I actually can do a couple different variants here, as you can see, by default. And then the ones with the locks are obviously ones that you can't do. So very simplistic stuff at the very beginning there. We'll go ahead and put that there. So, real quick, we'll break out of the area here. And we'll come over here and we'll find ourselves... Wood is fortunately one of those that seems to be relatively plentiful. And that's something that I've heard as a little bit of a criticism to the game. If it is going to truly have survival elements, then the resources need to be harder to come by. And I can absolutely agree with that. I'm not going to pick that up right now. Okay, there we go. Got some wood scraps, which are not full-fledged wood yet. This over here. Oh, a little gravel. That's neat. So my camp is actually near something where I can get access to some gravel. Gotta be some wood over here. Alright, some silk bean. Thought I saw some movement. That might have just been a reflection. Oh, it's actually, if you look at the reflection physics or whatever that's coming off the edge of my blade and the water, that's a little deceitful. Made me think I had some movement on my right. Alright, let's see, more wood scraps. And as you can see, a fair bit of scavenging to be done, but again, look at that, boom. Mutafruit, and wood, and now I can go. Thought I had finished this part by crafting some things, but this is the Overseer's camp. As you can see, I just dumped all of my stuff in there, and actually it does look like they increased it, because I think the last time I was playing it was 400. It's now 600, so that's fantastic. Let's see if we can craft. I thought I had crafted a pipe pistol, so let's see. I don't have any leather, so I can't do a blunt weapon, which is what I was kind of hoping to do. So let's go ahead and head back over here. I should have enough scraps, hopefully now, to build that third wall. I'll go back into the crafting system, and we do. Let's see, do we have enough for a roof? We do. And let's see if we have enough for, is there any sort of wall here that would allow us a door? No. Alright, so let's go to doors. So you can do doors independently, but apparently there are no doorway walls. Alright. And some of them you can see I don't have the blueprints yet, so it does prohibit me from being able to build based on that. Now, building the bed up here like I did, it creates a couple of scenarios for us. One, now that it's on the ground but not on the ground, it should prevent that bed from getting a lot of disease. So let's go. Oop, we got shots in the distance. And then let's double check over here. Nothing there. Nothing's coming this way. Oh, wait a minute. I see a bullet coming at me. Now that is possibly another player. Which, if that's the case, if it is indeed another player, they're not going to be able to do anything to me at this point, because I have immunity right now. So they can do whatever they want. Now, what's neat in Fallout 76, this is actually something I do appreciate from them, is if that is another player and they come over and they aren't griefing, they could theoretically come over, use my cooking station, stash their gear in the Vault Tech stash box, which would then put that stuff in their box. And then, of course, they, if they so chose, could come up and take a little sleep. I suspect that shot was either an enemy or somebody shooting at an enemy, and it just happened to whiz by, because I'm not exactly hidden over here. Alright, so let's go. Got a few more minutes here. Again, kind of like my other videos, I want to sort of keep these Let's Plays relatively short and sweet, unless you guys request something longer or want to see something specific. Alright, so I do not yet have the full supplies. I need aluminum, gears, screws, and springs for the purposes of making my own armor bench. So as you see, I hit the button there, and now you see the little magnifying glass that should point out items that have those pieces of equipment. So for the moment, we got ourselves a little tiny food supply. Oh, that reminds me, I do have that fruit. Mute fruit, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And we'll go ahead and put that sucker right there. And then I think I did see another player come by. Yep, there's one right there. Going into the map real quick so you guys can sort of see. You can see he's level 30, there's level 44, there's a level 2 just got started like me, there's a level 7. So there are some people, they're kind of scattered. It's such a giant map. I suspect that Bethesda is going to have to increase the player allotments, because, I mean, again, 25 to me seems like a pretty small number. I will say this, I haven't had a lot of trouble playing with friends. I have a couple that have gotten this, despite some of the critiques. And I will say, I mean, it has gotten its fair share of critiques. A lot of the beef that people have with it are things that I agree with. Not having any form of human NPC can absolutely drastically affect, in my opinion, the feel of it being a Fallout game. So I'm still with everybody who feels that. So let's go ahead and grab all this stuff out of the Overseers. It's almost treating it as if I have not done this. So I do want to go ahead and knock this out. Turn those two 1-level lead belly cards into a level 2 lead belly card, which will take it from 30% less radiation to 60. So that's pretty important. So let's go ahead and do that. And as you can see now, because I have 3 points in endurance, I can equip it right there. Now, if this was any other skill card, if it was, say, luck, agility, any of the others, and I tried to equip it, it wouldn't let me because I don't have enough points to carry it. Now, charisma in this game allows you to select an option to share. So let's say I wanted to share Lead Belly and I had a team of people, then I could equip that. Of course, you need the corresponding points in charisma to do that. So that's the only little tweak that's different. As I mentioned last time, what's really great though is depending on how you want to play, you can actually swap those cards out on the fly. I'll probably delve into it even more once I get some more cards. But now, at least, when I go in and go, man, I'm getting a little thirsty here. Let's drink some. So let's eat some of this soup, because again I mentioned food has condition. So let's find some food that's starting to die a little bit here, because food will spoil. And pumpkin soup. You see I'd ordinarily catch some rads off of that. That rad's element was reduced. So took care of that. Let's have a little more. And as you can see, the food and drink went up. And there you go. So just a quick recap. We delved into the camp a little further, went over the stash box, the increase in the stash box, which is fantastic. And we built our little hovel. I like it's elevated on the water like that. It's nice. Got some stairs. And hopefully next time I'll get a hold of some actual defenses. Let's see. It looks like somebody did some damage to my tomato plants because they're dicks. Oh man, that might have been what that little bit of scrap that was going on out there was. Good news is you can always repair that stuff. I'll have to wait until I have some potatoes to do it. So we've gone over crafting, we went over leveling a little more, we got that XP. Let's do this. There is a town just down the road here, and let's get down there and I'll show you guys a little tiny bit of some combat element. I'm sure there will be an enemy to fight. Let's see if yep, he's one of them. So one of the criticisms that I do also agree with is VATS is definitely not really great in this. VATS is what sort of separated the Fallout combat. Now it is essentially a glorified auto target, as you can see. Now if I swing, I'm guaranteed. I had a 95% chance of hitting him. Gotta get the action points again. He's not really doing anything right now, which is kind of making this underwhelming. I do think that Bethesda could have gotten away easily with putting some humanoid NPCs. I get what they were trying to do from an aesthetic standpoint. We want every player to be a real player, and that's great. You can still do that, or every human being to be a real human being, I should say. And I get that. And you could absolutely still have some element of that. You could just make NPCs ghouls. You could explain that, oh, we got some dogs here. So let's go ahead and got some dog meat. You could absolutely explain that because this is the seriously irradiated area, or one of the first areas hit, that most of the people here are ghouls. And then make the players be the ones that are pretty. Now, of course, that's probably going to start... I would hope that down the road they give players a chance to play as ghouls, because that would be freaking awesome. But yeah, it's just... it is something that kind of, to me, drains the overall feel. It doesn't quite... Oh, I think I saw... Yeah, there's an opossum. I think it's a double-headed or triple-headed. Yep, triple-headed opossum. Get some opossum meat. And, ooh, fragmentation grenade. We can equip that real quick. Alright. So, yeah, I mean, VATS, one of the complaints, VATS being a glorified targeting system, taking away some of the uniqueness. Oh, you got a mole right here. My old friends. It does really sort of suck some of that element out of it, I think. VATS was always a great strategic thing that made the combat stand out a little bit. It gave you the opportunity. Now I get it. You're not going to be able to just pause a always live game with 25 people on the server. I get that. So I would almost have just say take VATS out and put in some retroactive story saying that it has, or you're in an area that it hasn't been developed yet, or some BS like that. I think people probably would have taken a little kinder to that than being stuck with an auto target. Which, granted, I mean, a lot of people that play games these days are really good with just using iron sights. I mean, I'm not using a gun, but most people, you've played Halo, you've played Call of Duty, you know how to use an iron sight. It's just, it is what it is. Again, the NPC thing, I think, is something that could have also been addressed with a number of different fixes there. All right. Let's see. I think we're getting close to where I can stop. For the episode. Alright, so we're at Flatwoods. I will say, just looking at what they've done with West Virginia, it feels like a Fallout game in terms of the aesthetic, the rusted out cars, the overgrowth, and I will give a huge shout out to the soundtrack. The soundtrack is absolutely beautiful. As you can hear. All right, so here we are. We've made it to the command post, trading post. I am going to go ahead and stop here, and this is where we will pick up next time, next week. And again, really appreciate you guys watching, and until next time, like and subscribe. And this has been Fallout Friday's playthrough of Fallout 76. Thanks a lot.